Imagine the scenario. You've just watched the man you love, the man whose career you secretly financed, reach the absolute peak of corporate success. He becomes a CEO, and the first thing he does? He throws divorce papers in your face. This is the man you sacrificed everything for, the one you funded entirely when he was nothing more than a desperate idea and a stack of debt. Now he stands before you, newly minted with millions, telling you flat out that you are simply not good enough for his elevated status. Can you feel that visceral, white-hot rage beginning to coil tightly in your chest? But here is the profound, unexpected twist he never in a million years saw coming. The company he believed he built, the empire he claimed as his own. She owned it. Every single share, every strategic decision, every single dollar that flowed through the organization was ultimately hers. He just didn't have the slightest clue yet. This is not just a story of marital betrayal. It is a masterclass in what happens when a man catastrophically mistakes his wife's humble nature for stupidity and her patient, strategic silence for sheer, crippling weakness. If you have ever felt dismissed, if you've ever been tossed aside like you held no value, stay with this story, because this woman didn't just pursue petty revenge. She delivered a calculated, flawless demonstration of patience, leverage, and ultimate financial power. If this realization ignites something within you, hit that like button, share this account with anyone who needs a jolt of empowerment, and subscribe. We aren't just reciting drama here. We are delivering a stern reminder to the world that underestimating a quiet, intelligent woman is unequivocally the most expensive and career-ending mistake any arrogant man can ever make. Her name was Elena Martinez. She was 38 years old and was sitting quietly at the kitchen table in their comfortable suburban home, folding a mountain of clean laundry. She was dressed in her favorite, worn-out gray sweatpants and an old, faded college t-shirt, the uniform of a woman settled into domestic life. It was precisely 7 p.m. On a Tuesday evening. The front door swung open, and Mark walked in, her husband of 12 years. He was wearing a brand-new, impeccably tailored $4,000 Italian suit. His hair was freshly styled, every strand in place, and he carried the potent, heady scent of an extremely expensive cologne. He offered no greeting. He didn't ask a single question about her day. He simply dropped a thick manila envelope onto the kitchen table, deliberately placing it right on top of the neat stack of towels she'd just finished folding. Elena slowly looked up, her expression neutral. "What is this?" "Divorce papers," Mark stated flatly, his voice devoid of emotion. "Sign them." Elena's hands, which had been mid-fold, froze completely. "What?" Mark reached up, loosened the knot of his expensive silk tie, and walked over to the bar cart to pour himself a healthy measure of amber whiskey. "You heard me clearly. I want a divorce." "Mark, what in God's name are you talking about?" "Elena, allow me to be explicitly clear, so there is zero room for confusion." He turned to face her, swirling the whiskey in his glass, the sound echoing slightly in the quiet room. "Today, I officially became the Chief Executive Officer of Nexus Corporation. Do you grasp the implications of that? I am now, on paper, worth $80 million. I have board members, major investors, and international billionaires flying in solely to meet with me, and frankly, I require a wife who properly fits that image." Elena's voice was barely a tremor. "Fits that image? Mark, I am your wife. I have been your wife for 12 years. And for 12 years, his voice was cold, almost clinical. You've done nothing but sit at home in sweatpants, diligently folding laundry." He took a sip of whiskey. "I need a power wife, Elena. Someone who can stand confidently next to me at high-profile galas. Someone who looks the part, chic, sophisticated. Someone who genuinely understands the high-stakes world of business." "I understand business." Mark let out a short, dismissive laugh. You don't even maintain a LinkedIn profile, Elena. You haven't held a paying job in over a decade. You have absolutely no concept of what I do or how I built this empire." Elena slowly rose to her feet, her legs trembling slightly beneath her. "Mark, I gave up my career to support your dream, and I appreciate that," Mark interjected, cutting her off mid-sentence, his tone patronizing. Which is precisely why I am being overly generous. You will receive $200,000 in the settlement, plus the Honda Civic. That is far more than fair. More than fair? Alina's voice finally cracked, laced with disbelief and building hurt. Mark, we built this life together. No. Mark's eyes went instantly hard, stealing his gaze. I built this. You contributed nothing of measurable value. You sat at home while I worked 80-hour weeks, bled for this company. You have no equity, no financial stake. You were just there. Alina's chest physically tightened with suppressed emotion. Who is she? Mark didn't flinch, his lack of remorse chilling. Her name is Vanessa. She's 29. She's a vice president at a top consulting firm. She speaks 3 languages, and she looks exactly like she belongs draped on my arm. And yes, she will be accompanying me to the shareholder meeting next month. He drained his glass of whiskey and slammed it down onto the cart. Sign the papers, Alina. Do not make this any more difficult than it needs to be. You'll be fine. You always are. He turned abruptly and walked toward the master bedroom. Alina remained standing there, staring at the thick manila envelope, her hands shaking uncontrollably, but she did not shed a single tear. Instead, she slowly reached into the pocket of her sweatpants, pulled out her phone, and made a single focused call. Hi, it's Alina Martinez. I need you to prepare the documents. All of them. It is time. Let me now elaborate on the critical detail Mark conveniently forgot. 12 years ago, Mark was 28 years old, fresh out of business school and financially destitute. He had the brilliant, raw idea for a tech platform, Nexus Corporation, but he lacked capital, he lacked investors, and he certainly lacked credibility. He pitched his concept to 47 different venture capitalists and angel investors. All 47 emphatically said no. He was on the very brink of surrendering his dream entirely. That was the moment Alina stepped in. Alina's grandfather had passed away 2 years earlier and had left her a substantial $2 million inheritance. She had been carefully saving the money, planning to leverage it to start her own high-end consulting firm one day. But when she saw the intense fire and vision in Mark's eyes, she chose to believe in him completely. Take it, she told him. Build your company. Mark was genuinely hesitant. Alina, I can't take your future savings. That's your money. It's our future, Alina corrected gently. We're getting married next year. Your dream, Mark, is now my dream. But Alina Martinez was not naive. She had a sharp understanding of how fragile the male ego could be. She knew implicitly that if Mark felt like he owed her his entire success, it might critically damage his confidence. It might make him feel perpetually small. So, she executed a brilliant strategic maneuver. She established a blind trust, structured through a sophisticated series of shell companies and international legal protection. She funneled the full $2 million through a reputable law firm, legally structuring the money as coming from an anonymous angel investor. Mark truly believed that some wealthy, mysterious stranger believed in his nascent idea. He never, not once, knew that the angel investor who saved his company was his quiet, supportive wife. Over the next decade, Nexus Corp exploded in growth. Alina's initial, leveraged $2 million investment, protected by the ironclad trust, matured into a massive 60% controlling stake in the corporation. Mark genuinely thought he owned the company, that he was the visionary king, but the chilling truth was simpler. Alina owned him. And now, after 12 years of calculated silence, she was ready to remind him of that reality. 1 month later, the Nexus Corp headquarters shone like a beacon, a gleaming glass tower positioned strategically in downtown Seattle. The top-floor conference room was reserved for the company's first major shareholder meeting since going public, boasting stunning floor-to-ceiling windows that provided a panoramic view of the entire city skyline. Mark was seated triumphantly at the head of the long mahogany table, wearing an even more expensive $6,000 bespoke suit, radiating the image of an untouchable corporate king. Next to him sat Vanessa, 29, impeccably blonde, wearing a tight, striking red designer dress and a self-satisfied smile that screamed she knew precisely what her new status was worth. Circled around the table were the executive team, major investors, and board members. Mark stood, tapping a silver spoon lightly against a crystal champagne glass to command attention. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Today marks a truly historic moment for Nexus Corporation. We are officially valued at $400 million. A polite round of applause filled the room. And I want to take a moment, Mark continued, a smugness in his voice, to thank the people who made this immense success possible. My dedicated team, my unparalleled vision, and above all, my tenacious leadership. Vanessa subtly squeezed his hand and offered an adoring smile. Now, Mark went on, there is one small piece of old business we need to finalize. As many of you know, our original seed funding came from an anonymous angel investor 12 years ago. That investor has remained silent and completely uninvolved in the day-to-day operations. Today, I am formally proposing that we vote to remove them permanently from the board and consolidate full corporate control entirely under my executive leadership. A low murmur of professional agreement circulated among the investors. Mark beamed, satisfied. Any objections? At that exact moment, the massive conference room door opened, and every single head in the room instantly turned. Alina Martinez walked in. She was not wearing gray sweatpants. She was wearing an immaculately tailored black Armani suit. Her hair was professionally styled into an elegant chignon. She wore sharp, high heels. She walked with a quiet, powerful confidence, looking exactly like she owned the room because she did. Mark's self-assured smile instantly evaporated. Alina, what the hell are you doing in here? Alina didn't grant him the courtesy of a direct answer. She walked calmly, deliberately, toward the empty seat positioned at the opposite end of the table, the seat reserved strictly for the anonymous majority investor. She settled into the chair with the ease of royalty taking her throne. Mark shot to his feet and raged. Security! Get my ex-wife out of here immediately. She is trespassing on private corporate property. Mr. Cole. The voice was stern and commanded respect, coming from the chairman of the board, an older, formidable man named Richard Brennan. Mark whipped around. Richard, call security right now. Sit down, Mark. Mark blinked, utterly confused. What? Sit down. Mark slowly lowered himself back into his chair, his mind racing. Richard looked pointedly at Alina. Ms. Martinez, the floor is officially yours. Alina opened her sleek leather briefcase and pulled out a formidable stack of documents. She smoothly slid them across the polished table. What is this trash? Mark demanded, his voice cracking with anxiety. Alina's voice was calm, professional, and devastatingly precise. 12 years ago, Nexus Corporation received $2 million in seed funding from an anonymous angel investor. That investor, she paused for effect, now holds a 60% controlling stake in this company. Mark laughed, a high, nervous sound. Right, and we're voting to remove them today. You can't remove me, Mark. The vast room instantly fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. Mark's face went utterly pale, draining of all color. What did you just say? Alina locked her gaze onto his. The anonymous angel investor. That is me. I own 60% of Nexus Corporation. You, Mark, personally own 18%. The remainder is divided among the board and public shares. Mark's mouth opened, then snapped shut, unable to form words. That's not possible. It's fraudulent. It is all right here in the legally binding documents, Alina countered, gesturing to the papers. The trust was structured absolutely legally. Every single share, every voting right mine. Vanessa's hand slowly slipped away from Mark's arm. Mark jumped up again, his voice rising hysterically. You're lying. You are clearly attempting to sabotage me because you're bitter about the divorce settlement. I am not bitter, Mark. Alina's voice remained perfectly steady, utterly without emotion. I am merely correcting the public record. You did not build this company alone. I funded it. And while you were busy basking in all the credit, I was watching and waiting quietly. She pulled out yet another document, thicker than the last. I also have incontrovertible records showing that over the past 6 months, you have been systematically using company funds for exorbitant personal expenses. $340,000 in unapproved charges, which includes funding Vanessa's luxury apartment, her new car, and her high-limit credit cards. Vanessa's eyes went wide with pure terror. She sprang to her feet. Mark, you swore to me that you own this company outright. I do, Mark shouted, desperation creeping into his tone. No, Alina said calmly, ending the argument. You don't. You are, and always have been, simply an employee. And effective immediately, you are terminated. Mark's face turned a dangerous shade of crimson. You can't do this to me. Richard Brennan stood up, a decisive gesture. Ms. Martinez holds the majority stake and controlling interest, Mark. She absolutely can. Security, please escort Mr. Cole immediately out of the building. 2 enormous security guards stepped forward, flanking Mark. Mark looked wildly around the conference table, but not a single board member would meet his eyes. Vanessa grabbed her purse, her composure shattered. I'm done. Don't ever call me. She fled the room. Mark turned back to Alina, his voice breaking, shattering into a pathetic plea. Alina, please. I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. Alina rose and slowly walked toward him, stopping inches from his face. Her eyes held not anger, but cold finality. You said you wanted a wife who matched your level, Mark, she murmured softly. You were right. I am the owner. You are the employee. We were never, ever on the same level. She turned and walked back to her seat. The security guards took a protesting, shouting Mark by the arms and escorted him forcibly from the glass tower. The door closed, leaving an abrupt, heavy silence in their wake. Alina looked at the stunned board members. Let's get back to business now. 3 months later, Mark had lost everything. The coveted CEO title, the astronomical salary, the hard-won corporate reputation. Vanessa blocked his number the very day he was publicly fired. He ended up taking a sales job at a mid-tier software company, earning a meager $60,000 a year. He now drives the Honda Civic, the very car he had condescendingly offered Alina in the divorce settlement. Meanwhile, Alina thoroughly restructured Nexus Corp, stepped in as interim CEO, and hired a world-class executive team to run the day-to-day operations. Under her sharp, focused leadership, the company's value doubled in 6 months. She also established something else entirely. The Alina Martinez Foundation, a powerful nonprofit organization dedicated solely to funding women entrepreneurs who have been overlooked, summarily dismissed, or strategically underestimated. She has already funded 47 women. One of the recipients recently told her, her voice full of gratitude, "You gave me a chance when no one else in the world would." Alina smiled gently. Someone did that for me once, too. I'm just paying it forward now. The Bible says in Proverbs 16 verse 18, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Mark believed he was truly untouchable. He assumed his wife was insignificant. But pride doesn't just precede a fall, it meticulously guarantees it. Ladies, when a man underestimates your value, do not argue. Do not beg. Simply wait. Wait until the precise, legally defensible moment is right, and then deliver an undeniable reminder of exactly who he has been dealing with all along. What would you have done in Alina's commanding position? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And if this story sent a genuine chill down your spine, share it, subscribe for more vindication, and stay blessed. Stay powerful, stay patiently strategic, and never, ever let anyone mistake your calculated silence for weakness.